how do you balance it out into the story and the good action?
Yeah, I think for us, me and Christian's collaboration, I guess what makes our collaboration so unique and so good is because we have very similar feel for action movies. So first, unlike a lot of, how should I say, action directors or action actors, sometimes they lack focus or they don't care as much for storylines, or they don't care about character development, which Chris, he just mentioned.
Yeah.
Actually that's a very important aspect of an action film.
Definitely, yeah.
Because if you don't have a strong central character, good character development, and a good storyline-driven film, the action could be cool and could be spectacular, but it lacks emotion.
Yeah, it's purely just the action.
So when we collaborated, first thing we were chatting, and then he told me, hey, like the reason he liked working with me is because the script I write, the stories, the characters created, really intrigues him. He's very interested in these characters. He thinks, with this storyline, he wants to develop a cool action sequence. He wants to, design, choreograph a really good fight scene to accommodate the film and its character. So, I always tell people it's easy to make action films. There's so many action films everywhere. But it's hard to make a good action film.
Definitely.
Because a good action film takes good action, but you also have to make your audience care about the action. And not just mindless car chase or mindless fighting for no reason.
They care about the story.
Exactly.
That's why watch the action.
Exactly.
So how do you look at the independent, martial arts scene in Shanghai? Do you think it's mature? Do you know how did the audience react?
Well, I think actually the independent filmmaking scene is actually on the rise in Shanghai. It's getting more and more filmmakers from abroad, also local filmmakers, are starting to make things here and there. Before, as far as I know, it's usually in Beijing, where there's more like an independent movement, independent filmmaking movement. But Shanghai is starting to pick up. But again, as far as action, filmmaking goes, I don't really see. Actually, I don't see anybody trying to do that.
In Shanghai, right?
Because first, I think it's quite a challenge, and second is I think it's just a hard. It's a hard film to make, because a lot of them, maybe they like to make comedies or they make drama or love stories. But action, again, I have to emphasize at one point, some filmmakers, they think action films are too simple. That's why they don't make it. So they rather make something very deep meaning.
But I guess their idea is based on purely action.
Exactly, but they never think about the storyline-driven action films. So honestly, I think we're the pioneer of independent action filmmaking.
That's why you guys are here.
Anything you want to add?
About the filmmaking scene, I must be honest. When I arrived here, there were some people willing to do something, but not really related to action. It was a little bit like in Italy, actions and out too hard, and it's pointless. There's no meaning in doing action. Everybody's doing action, but this was not true. So I was a little bit in trouble as I was in Italy back here. But then I met Richard finally, and thanks to him, we start building up this new filmmaking scene here in this city, So yeah, we are the pioneer of this, and so finally I achieved my goal to start a filmmaking action filmmaking scene.
Seems like a great match you two met. And also some of the action film, the actors, they only know how to do the show, right? They don't really know martial arts. But you have very extensive experience in Kung Fu.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's the thing that get me really upset sometimes, I trained for 14 years in martial arts.
14 years?
Yeah, so I have a long experience that allow me to do a lot of things, and I practice a lot of styles of martial arts, so I know all the philosophies behind each of the style that I know. And in today's movies, there is this sort of brand, both in the States and also in Hong Kong, in China, to put some sort of pop stars or singers in the role of martial artists in movies. And this destroys a little bit the image of martial arts. It really does.
People kind of show.
Yeah, because you can really see they don't understand what is behind the move. They just throw a punch, but what's behind the punch, they don't know. They just learned 1 week before for the movie.
But I'm glad that you two, want to bring the culture of martial arts in Shanghai as well. I've heard that recently you're working on a film called The Silent Revenge. Yes. Can you introduce us?
Actually, the Deficit, The Silent Revenge is, it will be a feature film, which is expanded from one of the short films we made late last year. And right now it's getting into pre-production, and we'll shoot the film at the end of the year.
Okay. So when are we looking at, we can have a finished film to watch? Was it next year? Or?
Right now we are aiming for possibly a summer 2011 release.
Okay.
But, it really depends on the production process, the shooting, so it depends.
Yeah, it depends. Let's say summer 2011.
Oh, okay. So what's the storyline? I know you can't, tell too much yet, but give us a bit to look forward to. So
the story is surrounds basically the central character is an Italian martial artist who grew up in China.
Oh, okay.
Who was raised in China, and because he's deaf, he doesn't speak or he doesn't hear, and the only thing give him confidence basically is his martial arts skills. And the film, basically talks about challenges, talks about, loneliness and struggle in the big city, and, how to find his identity and try to overcome all the odds against him.
Okay. Seems it's really, you're going deep to the story rather than just the action film.
Right. But, I mean, definitely on the action side, we'll still deliver the action.
Yeah, of course.
Very entertaining and very intense action you have never seen.
Yeah. That's an interesting mix for this movie,
So you're the main actor of the...
Yeah, I'm the main lead. It will be also challenging to, act in this deaf role. It's no easy, because if you don't talk, you cannot rely on your eyes or your facial expression. So it will be challenging for me as an actor to portray this character on screen. And it will be also challenging to arrange the fighting styles to match with this character. So it's a challenge. I like it. I'm really grateful to Richard.
So it sounds like a really interesting story. But one question, why do you shoot in Shanghai?
Yeah, because I think Shanghai is long overdue for its own action movie in the modern environment. And, like cities like Los Angeles, Hong Kong, San Francisco, even Tokyo, they all have their own modern day action films.
Yeah.
So I think Shanghai, as such a diverse and modern city, it only makes sense to put the story here. So on one hand, I can introduce the culture and aspect of traditional martial art wushu, and I can also present the film with the martial art culture to the international audience with such an international and diverse environment of Shanghai.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good mix of tradition and modern times.
Bring the two cultures together, right?
That's something just like to say that also we are trying to create a bridge between the Western market, the Western countries, and China and Shanghai. That's really something I was thinking also about when I was back in the days in Italy. So to create a real connection between the two filmmaking scenes. Because the problem is that in Europe or in the States there are many people, many companies interested in working, in Asia, with China, but there's no one who thinks that they can also collaborate in filmmaking.
Okay.
Only maybe industries or whatever, pharmaceutical stuff, but not real filmmaking deals.
Yeah.
That's why I really hope that this movie will help people in the West, investors or whatever, to have the courage to come and invest over to China and produce movie here, to create a real connection and international collaboration for filmmakers here. And I hope the figure of a Western action star working in Asia for the first time, that never happened before, really could help this, create this strong connection. So in the future it will not be like, oh, I go to Hollywood or I go to China. No, it's the same. I hope it will be the same. All the words.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
I hope the international filmmakers in front of camera can hear your voice.
Yeah, I hope that too.
I'm looking forward to the film, and good luck to her.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming to the show.
Thank you.
And good luck to the Silent Revenge. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching the show. This is Wei Nali. See you next time.